Do it.
You did well, Anakin. He was too dangerous to be kept alive.
Yes, but he was an unarmed prisoner. I shouldn't have done that. It's not the Jedi way.
It is only natural. He cut off your arm, and you wanted revenge. It wasn't the first time, Anakin. Remember what you told me about your mother and the Sand People?
Is this a drill or something?
Why did Anakin Skywalker actually kill Count Dooku? Was it just revenge for the whole arm thing? Because he grew that back pretty well. We know originally it was more than just a casual
Kill him.
from Palpatine. And you can see Dooku has a lot of genuine surprise and dismay on his face when Palpatine utters his famous "do it" line. What I uncovered from the original drafts of Revenge of the Sith explains in vivid detail why Anakin killed Dooku and why Dooku looked so surprised. He straight up looks like a kicked puppy, but you never learn why other than that moment of betrayal and not really realization, and it changes the whole dynamic of the scene. So here is a full breakdown as to what originally we were meant to see on screen. In the movie, Dooku made a few fatal errors that led up to him feeling drafty above the collar. He hurt Obi-Wan. That's step one. That's a real bad move. He previously hurt Anakin. Not just his arm, but more importantly, his pride. And then the well-placed and eloquent taunt of
Twice the pride, double the fall.
that really pissed off Anakin, allowing him to tap into his dark rage in tandem with his growing dueling skills. And it tipped him over the edge to get the upper hand on Dooku. He trusted Palpatine. Now, that was a fatal error in itself. In his final moments, rather than saying something calming like, "Anakin, the Jedi will praise you for years for capturing and ending the Clone Wars mastermind Dooku. Let's take him prisoner like we always should have." He hit Anakin with a 1-2 of a "kill him now" and
Do it.
which doesn't actually feel like much in terms of dialogue. I mean, Anakin was already halfway there. Weirdly though, Palpatine mentions that Anakin had committed an atrocity before. It was this weird stab when he was already kind of feeling down. Regardless, the fact that he mentions post-beheading Sand People is actually crucial to understanding the original intent behind the fight and the not-so-subtle taunt of Sand People in the background that is barely audible. So, what was the original motivation for Anakin? Well, the dialogue in the drafts lifted from the behind the scenes of episode 3 have a familiar pacing, but a few key differences. So Darth Tyrannus or Dooku says, "I can feel your anger, your hatred tells me you are not unfamiliar with the dark side," which is much wordier than the original. Then Palpatine interjects, "Anakin, he was bragging earlier about how he arranged to have your mother killed by the Tusken Raiders." At the end of it, he's just thrown it in there as a jab while Anakin's fighting, and Anakin responds, "You," he screams probably, and Darth Tyrannus replies casually, "Yes, and now there is no escape for you, my young Jedi." So the pacing was much different. Palpatine used the Sand People taunt in a different way, which mid-fight may have amped him up. However, it does seem a little bit clunky. Like, check out what this guy did. I don't have any evidence, and you'll probably think, how did that happen? But he totally did it. Now, Palpatine yelling that from a chair, I mean, I don't see how that fight could retain its fluidity, compared to Dooku just saying twice the pride, double the fall, and Anakin saying my powers have doubled. That pride in the exchange was very good. It would take some very genuine convincing the whole "he killed your mother" card. I mean, it's a lot to digest versus a broiling Anakin feeling bested so easily and taunted. However, the decapitation, obviously if Palpatine said that as he was beheading him, he was the one that killed your mother and he's got those two sabers against his neck, obviously it would have been much more vicious and visceral if punctuated with a signature snarl than "do it." Now, That clears up the motivation for Anakin, and you can see why they've opted for something smoother, but the second question still remains. Why would Dooku believe Palpatine would have done any different when he was bested by Skywalker? Clearly, the rule of two, there is no room for weakness in them whatsoever. If you get bested, you're done, son. You lose your hands. Well, I do believe that this part that was in the draft was kept in, but it wasn't said, and it relied on poor Christopher Lee's fraction of a second pleading eye acting to portray the emotions and conversations previously between Dooku and Palpatine, which George Lucas elaborated on officially. Lucas is quoted as saying, Palpatine told Dooku, I have somebody who you'll think become a great Sith, and I think we can get him to join us, but we kind of need to test him, so we're going to set up a situation where you fight him. If he gets the best of you, then I'm going to stop the fight and he'll have passed the test. If you get the best of him, then we'll let him go, let him stew for a few more years until he's ready. But behind it, obviously, is Palpatine's real intention. If Anakin is good enough, Anakin can kill Dooku and become his next apprentice. Now, all of those beats are visually in the film, though you never hear those lines, but you feel the narrative at work once you realize that's what he's done. Outside of what Lucas has stated, there is a few elements at play that I want to address. The first to consider is a third apprentice. I mean, it's definitely the rule of two for a reason. Wouldn't Dooku immediately question Sidious? I mean, wouldn't he say, wait a second, apprentice? I'm your apprentice. That's how this works. But it's not necessarily. And the reason for that would be Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Vos. Dooku had previously had underlings or acolytes who were given promises of power. However, when Ventress did get too powerful, Palpatine had Dooku have her taken care of. So in regards to past instances, you would see Skywalker as a young pawn, something to use as a weapon for the Jedi's ruination. What sweeter victory than to use their chosen one against them? And how would he ever replace Dooku? I mean, he was of course a gifted duelist and not just some young boy. Dooku, if anything, was overconfident in his own abilities and in himself. He had so much pride, and he did suffer from his overconfidence, something that Palpatine also suffers from later. Ironically, that was a part of his downfall, which was echoed by Luke Skywalker.
Your overconfidence is your weakness.
Now, it was Dooku's pride, being the Count of Sereno, the best duelist in the Order, and the one who helped orchestrate the downfall of the corrupt Republican Jedi. In his mind, their plan to rule the galaxy was on the cusp of becoming a reality. Replacing him at this point would make little sense, as the final hurdle was about to be cleared. So when he had his hands removed, he couldn't believe he was that deadly, and it took him by surprise, definitely. But that look of pleading that he gives Palpatine when he orders his execution, it was something I never understood. I always thought a Sith died this fierce death, but now I understand that Dooku's pride wouldn't allow him to actually comprehend the nefarious workings of Sidious's plan. Even when it was too late, he was on his knees and he's lost his hands. He's like, but you told me I'm the chosen one? Oh crap. But the beauty of this video is it is just the start of the discussion. Our love for Star Wars surrounds and it binds us together. So let me know in the comments below. Sam people taunt at the end of the duel or before he beheads him? What do you think would have fit better? Because if you love Star Wars, I want to talk to you about it. It's as simple as that, my friends. If you want to stay up to date with the latest Star Wars videos on origins, games, and theories, don't forget to use those force powers of yours and hit subscribe. And hey, leave a comment below about what you want to see in future videos. It may just get covered. Thanks for watching, and may the force be with you. Always.